This is WVNY-TV 22 in Burlington, Vermont.
This is NewsCenter 22 Headlines at 11, bringing you up-to-the-minute reporting. News anchor Kathy Connolly, meteorologist Jim Teskey, and sports director John Cavazos. Now for Headlines at 11, Kathy Connolly.
Good evening, everyone. Topping our news tonight, 2 Burlington men indicted on federal drug charges pleaded guilty in U.S. District Court in Burlington today. 21-year-old Marlon Douglas and 19-year-old Percy Colcleisure pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges in connection with a large cocaine bust in the city's Old North End last May. The 2 men are the first pair to change their plea from a massive indictment earlier this year. 6 other men connected to the case are charged with various coke trafficking charges. Douglas and Colcleisure each face up to 40 years in jail. Also in local news tonight, a 26-year-old Burlington man was arrested at his apartment in the city's Old North End last night after police raided his Washington Street home and confiscated about half an ounce of heroin and other drug processing equipment. Carl Lewis has been charged with possession and intent to distribute. Police say more arrests may be on the way. The State Department of Employment and Training today announced the unemployment rate inched down slightly last month. Officials say the rate dipped 0.7% from the September level. The number of unemployed Vermonters fell during that same period to about 1,500 fewer people in October. Officials say the state...
Bags of heroin.
Police confiscated $10,000 worth of heroin along with drug processing equipment and $750 cash. Police say the small bags of heroin that go for 10...
District Court judge. The group marched outside St. Joseph's Church on North Street in Burlington to protest the fact that bingo games are held here. Yet where they worked, Broad Acres in Colchester, was shut down. The state seized the rented bingo equipment at Broad Acres last week, charging that the facility illegally used some of the profits to pay employees. Some say the same thing is happening across the state and that Broad Acres was unfairly singled out.
No one works for free these days. No one can afford to work for free. There are some bingo halls that are open one night a week with volunteers, and we commend them on their what they do. But the bingo halls that are open 5 days a week do pay all their employees. There's no way that no one can work for free.
In national news tonight, an American scientist says the U.S. and Russia are mounting an emergency operation to monitor radiation leaking from a Soviet sub that sank about 150 miles north of Norway 3 years ago. Officials at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute in Massachusetts say instruments will be lowered down to the sub next summer to determine whether any leaking plutonium could damage the food chain in the Norwegian Sea. Russian engineers told ABC News that the plutonium could begin leaking from the sub as soon as 1994. Let's check in now with Jim Teskey for a quick look at tonight's weather.
Thanks a lot, Kathy. Other than a few breaks of sunshine earlier today, just another gloomy November day here in the Champlain Valley. Cloudy skies, temperature 41 degrees right now. 36 is your dew point. Relative humidity at 82%. The winds out of the east at 7 miles an hour, and that will be bringing in some more moisture as we go through the overnight. 30.20 is your barometric pressure, and that is falling. As we look across the region, some reports of very light precipitation throughout the north country, back toward Ottawa, also as you head along the New England coast, but the steadiest precipitation is down to the south and west, working its way through central New York State right now. This is about the front end of it, just east of Syracuse, just about to move into Albany, and it is moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles an hour, so it won't take too much longer before it works its way into the north country. And there could be a little bit in the way of some freezing rain or snow, especially in the northeast kingdom. Let's show you that AM commute as you head to work tomorrow morning. Mainly rain. There could be a few pockets of frozen precipitation in the outlying areas, a little bit of fog. Temperatures in the 30s. Coming up later, we'll give you the complete forecast for Thanksgiving. Right now, though, a quick look at sports.
It started with a whisper and ended with a bang tonight at the Gutterson Fieldhouse as the UVM Hockey Cats erupted for 6 goals in the third period to beat back the Big Green of Dartmouth. It was only 2-0 Vermont in the second when Dartmouth's Derek Geary put the backhander behind Christian Soucy. That cut the difference to a single goal. But the Cats finally got a break early in the third. The puck literally bouncing their way. Nick Perreault from the point. The puck made at least 2 stops along the way, but finally settled into the far corner behind a stunned Mike Bracco. That got Vermont rolling, and they went on to beat Dartmouth by the final of 8-2. Monty and Perreault each with a couple of goals. Soucy with 31 saves. The Cats now 4-3-1 3-2 in ECAC Division 1. In women's college basketball tonight, Amy Molina had 30 points to lead the Lady Knights of St. Michael's College. 86-65, a winner over Middlebury. Slaja Kovajanik led the Panthers with 33. The Lady Knights now 2-0. The Panthers 1-1. We'll have highlights of this one and more UVM hockey action as well when we get back a little bit later.
When we come back on NewsCenter 22, Governor Dean talks about the sale of GE's Burlington plant, and we'll tell you about some dangerous toys. Stay with us.
Living with a volunteer fireman is never dull, so I wasn't surprised that there was a fire on the night of the Chamber of Commerce dinner. You should have seen Jim's tuxedo shirt, a sweaty, oily mess, especially that collar. I didn't know if any detergent could clean it in just one wash, but I reached for my Tide, and sure enough, Tide made it look terrific. We got there looking better than ever, and fashionably late.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide.
I was struck by the stated goals of the Community Health Plan, which are providing high-quality care, providing it in an affordable way. These are things that are becoming of increasing concern to all of us. The ultimate result is I don't feel that I have to worry about my patient not being able to get some care that they need.
You and Community Health Plan, a healthy partnership.
Governor Howard Dean says he is optimistic about the sale of GE's aerospace division to the Martin Marietta Corporation. As Tim Devlin reports, that was just one of the topics discussed today at Dean's weekly press conference.
At his weekly press conference in Montpelier, today Governor Howard Dean said he feels optimistic about Martin Marietta Corporation's buyout of General Electric Aerospace. The GE plant in Burlington manufactures Gatling guns and other defense products and employs about 900 workers. Dean says he's had a positive talk with Norman Augustin, Martin Marietta's chief executive and chairman.
He has assured me that although there can be no guarantees, that his plans at this moment do not include shutting down the GE plant in Burlington. And so we've started off a cordial relationship with the new owner of that plant, and we have every reason to suspect that it's going to continue to be cordial and helpful.
In other news, recent proposals to revise the state solid waste laws are not expected to be implemented. Last week, the Agency of Natural Resources released a draft proposal. Dean says that was to get feedback on the idea and that the state will continue to close all unlined landfills as fast as possible.
What we did was the agency developed a plan, and I told them to shop it around and see what people thought of it. That's as far as it went. I do not have any burning desire to have Act 78 changed in this session of the legislature. I believe that a year from now, almost all of the unlined landfills will be closed down, and I believe that there will be line facilities available to take people's trash.
On another front, Dean says he still plans to fight the Environmental Protection Agency's $50 million cleanup plan of the Pine Street Barge Canal. The state wants the coal tar buried to be sealed where it is. The EPA would like to dig up the site and remove the materials.
We have every indication that the hazardous waste that's in that site is stable. It isn't going anywhere. No evidence has been found, even at the mouth of the barge canal in the lake, that there's any leakage from that dump site. So the question in my mind is, why is it that they're taking a very disruptive plan towards the barge canal?
Tim Devlin, NewsCenter 22, Montpelier.
A consumer advocacy group came out with its annual toy hit list today. Toys that are not illegal to sell, but could be deadly if bought. Mark Economo has the story.
Today, VPRIG released a list of 21 potentially dangerous toys. They are toys that are made up of small pieces that can cause a child to choke if swallowed.
Over 130,000 children nationwide were treated in emergency hospital rooms across the country last year, resulting in at least 25 deaths.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission determines whether a toy is safe or not by placing it in this cylinder. If any part of the toy is exposed, it is considered safe. One toy is based on the Sesame Street character Oscar the Grouch.
The purpose of this game is that you're supposed to put these little pieces, these little toys on the garbage can until somebody knocks some of the toys off. This little umbrella qualifies because it barely sticks out above the test cylinder. So this toy is legal to be sold to children under 3, despite the fact that they can easily choke.
And this year, the Public Interest Research Group placed a toy on its list that almost everyone has grown up with: wooden building blocks.
The piece, just by a hair, is above this cylinder. Once again, this is something that a child can easily put in their mouth and block their windpipe and choke on.
The report released today was prepared by 24 public interest research groups nationwide. In the last 3 years, 18 out of 60 toys have been recalled as a result of the list.
Many of the toys that we find do not technically violate the law, but yet still pose choking hazards to small children, choking hazards, strangulation hazards, and other hazards to children, so that they would not be subject to a recall.
COTA urges all parents to use caution when buying toys. Mark Economo, NewsCenter 22, Montpelier.
Vermont corrections officials are relaxing their ban on smoking in jail. Corrections Commissioner John Gorsuch calls the no smoking policy a success because it cleared the air in 6 jails and 2 county lockups. The ban is being relaxed so that smokers are able to light up outside.
What we want to do now is hold on to the clean air that we have, continue to disallow smoking in the correctional facilities, but yet at the same time try to establish areas where people can smoke in the secure yards associated with the correctional facilities to eliminate the demand for the black market and eliminate those tangential problems that have evolved.
Gorsuch says outside designated smoking areas could be in place as soon as 2 weeks. Once policies are in place at each facility, committees will be assigned to work on setting up the various outside locations.
Procedures that are going to that'll flow from this will be developed at the local level, will be developed by committees of staff and inmates, smokers. They have an incentive to do the job quickly. The areas will be areas outside of the correctional facilities, and specifically where they are at this point in time, I don't know yet. I'll wait until I see the work from those committees.
The no smoking policy had been in place in Vermont jails since July 1st. Earlier tonight, we told you about an ABC News investigation that revealed that a Soviet sub that sank 3 years ago in the Norwegian Sea may be leaking radiation. Now there's news that the Soviets dumped radioactive waste in the Arctic Sea on a regular basis. And as ABC's Karen Burns reports, the effects could be devastating.
This is the island of Novaya Zemlya in the Arctic Ocean, where thousands of tons of radioactive waste were dumped. Recently, members of the Russian parliament asked their navy for a full accounting of what had been disposed of off this and other islands in northern Russia.
We learned, and we just became terrified, the giant level of waste, the enormous level of waste in the oceans and seas. It was not in any way coordinated. Everyone did it without a plan. It was just dumped.
ABC News has obtained a copy of the most detailed inventory to date of radioactive waste dumped by the Soviets. It confirms what had been rumored until now. At 7 sites, more than 11,000 containers of solid radioactive waste and 7 nuclear reactors with the fuel still in them. At 5 sites, containers filled with more than 43 million gallons of liquid radioactive waste. Most of the waste was from the Soviets' nuclear military program. The Russians do not know whether any of it is leaking.
We don't see it as a threat now, but in the future, due to the large quantity, there is a threat of it getting into the food.
There are signs that the nuclear waste dumping and nuclear weapons testing, which took place in northern Russia, has begun to affect the wildlife. According to a Russian laboratory testing in the region, seals by the thousands are dying of cancer.
The responsibility lies with Russia to do something about this, but clearly it's in our interest to work with them, and we have offered our cooperation.
What to do, how much it will cost, and who will pay are the next questions. Karen Burns, ABC News, Moscow.
Still to come on NewsCenter 22, Jim Teskey says a big early season storm continues to churn in the middle of the country. He'll have the latest on that, plus the forecast for the Thanksgiving holiday.
It's Ben Franklin's Holiday Spectacular. Watch for this coupon book now through December 5th and save on hundreds of holiday items, like Golden Games assortments, only $1.97 each with coupon. And a Crayola Holiday Tin, only $7.97 with coupon. And for the kids, a Barbie or Ken doll, only $9.97 with coupon. Great values, great selection on all holiday items now through December 5th at Ben Franklin's, South Burlington, Burlington, and Essex Junction.
Vermont Skiers Magazine returns, brought to you by some of your favorite northern Vermont ski areas, Rosignol Ski and Snowboards, and your New England Dodge dealers. In the season premiere, we show you the snowmaking efforts as the ski areas get ready to open. Talk about getting your body in shape for the season in our lesson segment. Visit the soon-to-open Vermont Ski Museum in Brandon and Stewart Hill Restaurant in Jeffersonville. All this and more Sunday at 6:30 on WVNY.
It's a memorable Christmas with the Bundys.
Sometimes I think it might have been better if I was never born.
When Al meets his guardian angel.
You know Al Bundy? I'm Al Bundy.
No! And learns a valuable lesson.
She doesn't know you're there, Bundy. Just like when you're having sex.
Life is worth living.
I was supposed to show you why you should live, but I can't think of one darn reason.
On the next Married with Children.
Weeknights at midnight.
Jim's here with a look at the weather, and everybody's wondering and hoping on a good turkey day, weather-wise.
Well, weather-wise, and also people are concerned tomorrow because tomorrow is the big travel day, and we'll give you all the details on that in a minute. Let's show you, first off, the numbers today as we take a look back. Another mild one here in the Champlain Valley. High temperature of 47 degrees, 7 full degrees above normal. Low temperature this morning, 36. Record high, 65 degrees, set back in 1931. The record low of 2 above zero, set in 1956. Precipitation, we did see a little bit of drizzle during the evening hours, but that will not change our daily total, which still stands at a trace. Let's go across the country and show you what's going on. We have a couple of systems here. One, a stationary front down along the Gulf Coast, and then a major storm back into the southern plains. With this front, first off, there is moisture headed up the east coast, and with this area of high pressure to the north, enough cold air in the atmosphere about 1,000, 2,000 feet up, that some of this precipitation when it comes in could be in the form of snow or freezing rain, especially the Adirondacks and the Northeast Kingdom. So you have to keep that in mind if you're traveling tonight. Again, the big story is this storm system in the southern plains. Big snows behind it from Colorado down into western Kansas, the panhandles of Oklahoma, as well as Texas. And there are no mountains. It's pretty wide open there, and you get winds of 30 to 40 miles an hour. Getting reports of drifts as high as 3 to 5 feet. And in fact, right now, blizzard warnings are in effect in extreme southwestern Kansas in association with this storm system. Let's show you the satellite picture, and you can see the size of the storm system. It takes up a good chunk of the eastern half of the country right now. Here are the clouds associated with the heavy snow as you work your way back into sections of Colorado, also the plain states, and ahead of it, all the moisture that is headed northward into the Champlain Valley and the North Country. In fact, let's move it ahead about 6 hours. And you can see how the shield of brighter white heads to the north, and the precipitation is heading to the north or northeast at about 40 miles an hour. So as we go past midnight, we'll start to see the precipitation picking up here. But it is moving quickly, which means it'll tend to taper off during the morning hours tomorrow. You may have noticed this area of clearing back here. If this happens to work its way far enough north, we may actually catch some sunshine late in the day tomorrow, but it will be short-lived. Let's show you the map for tomorrow afternoon. You can see for the most part, clouds will be dominating our weather picture the next 24 hours as this storm system slowly works its way to the north and east. And again, this is not a good scenario if you're looking for snow here in the North Country. Most of the snow is on the back side of this storm system, and with it taking a track to our west, we stay on the warm side of this system, and all the cold air stays locked up to the west. Stay tuned. In just a minute, we'll give you all the details of the forecast for the next couple of days, so stay with us.
Millions of Americans have come to learn that the name Buick means exceptional quality and value in an automobile. But did you know Buick offers you world-class quality at an affordable price? Your local North Country Buick dealer invites you to test drive the 1993 Buick of your choice. Discover for yourself what a tremendous automotive value a new Buick really is. Factory incentives and low interest rate financing make Buick the car to buy right now. See your local North Country Buick dealer today for details.
Here's a forecast for tonight. Cloudy, rain arriving over the next couple of hours, and again, some pockets of light snow or freezing rain, especially the Adirondacks and the Northeast Kingdom, down to around Montpelier. Low temperatures in general in the mid to lower 30s. During the day tomorrow, the big travel day before the holiday, light rain early on, then tapering off to just some areas of drizzle and fog as we go through the afternoon hours. High 43 in Montreal, 45 in Burlington and Rutland, 43 in Montpelier, and a 40 in Decatur. For tomorrow night, that drizzle will continue along with some fog. Lows of 35 to 40. Then the next batch of moisture comes in on Thanksgiving with mostly cloudy skies. Some light rain arriving, highs of 43 to 48. And here's your extended forecast. Rain or some mountain snow on Friday, so some good news there. Flurries as it gets colder on Saturday, partly sunny on Sunday. And yes, we have a contest that is going to get started here in the next couple of weeks with Vermont Skiers magazine. If you want to get in on this, send your name, address, and phone number to Vermont Skiers magazine, 100 Market Square, Burlington, Vermont, 05401. You do not have to purchase anything to get in on this. Also, one entry per person. We'll give you more details this Sunday on Vermont Skiers magazine.
Okay, and what kind of things can you win?
Oh, you can win skis, boots, passes, dinner, lessons. It goes on and on.
The list is endless.
Yes.
Thanks, Jim. Coming up next on NewsCenter 22, UVM's hockey team got its offense in gear tonight. John Cavazos will be in with all the action. Plus, a cat makes it home after an amazing adventure.
I don't want to alarm you, but something's happened. Beaucoup, in bottles, big bottles. This could change adult beverage consumption forever, like 7 fruit blend. I mean, 1 fruit blend, okay. But 7? Or mixed berry? There'll be beaucoup stampedes. People throwing out carbonated drinks chanting, belching no, beaucoup yes.
Beaucoup fruit juice coolers from McCain. Flavored just slightly over the edge.
Did NASA know about this? Does the president know? I think he should.
Living with a volunteer fireman is never dull, so I wasn't surprised that there was a fire on the night of the Chamber of Commerce dinner. You should have seen Jim's tuxedo shirt, a sweaty, oily mess, especially that collar. I didn't know if any detergent could clean it in just 1 wash, but I reached for my Tide, and sure enough, Tide made it look terrific. We got there looking better than ever, and fashionably late.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide.
John's here with a look at sports, starting things off with a big game in hockey.
At the Gutterson Fieldhouse, one of those rarities, a regular season game during the week at the Gutterson Field. How often do you get to see a UVM hockey game during the week? Not very. The only home game during the week all season long, in fact. Tonight, the Cats hosting Dartmouth at the Gut. Hope you didn't miss it. But even if you did, we've got all the action. And this one, for the first 2 periods anyway, was basically all defense. Christian Soucy with 1. And then another kick save and a beauty, 31 saves in all. And how about Corey Mechanic? Crunch! Nails Dan Bloom to the boards. Just moments later, Mechanic again plants Scott Frazier into the wood. However, offensively, the Cats having problems of their own with Dartmouth goalie Mike Bracco. Bracco here, stuffing the attempt. Then he gets bowled over by Vermont's Phil Eberle and a handful of big green defensemen. Finally, in the third, Vermont's chances started finding the net. Nick Perreault from the point. The shot bouncing off just about everybody before it reaches the far corner. That made it 3-1 Vermont and started a 6-goal Vermont outburst. They go on to beat Dartmouth tonight by the final of 8-2. Kevin Monty and Nick Perreault both with a pair of goals again. Soucy 31 saves as the Cats get back into the win column, and Mike Gilligan pleased with what he saw.
And I just told the guys, just be patient, it's a matter of time, because I thought we played pretty well offensively. I thought we created and hit a couple of posts. I think Perreault hit 2 posts. But they did a nice job in the third, and they kept their cool and went for the net, and it worked out.
Meanwhile, in local college basketball action tonight, Sue Duprat and the SMC Lady Knights hosting Middlebury. For the Panthers, huge night for Slyja Kovacic. Follows her own miss. Up off the glass for 2. She finished with 33, but SMC tightened up the defense. Katie O'Brien here with the board. She feeds Amy Molina on the break. Molina to the hole, up and in for 2. A little bit later, after the turnover, Molina with the lead pass for Lynn Liebhauser. She goes all the way home, lays it up and in. Count it with the foul. Lady Knights win it by the final of 86-65. Molina led the way with 30. SMC now 2-0. Middlebury 1-1. And don't forget the St. Michael's College men's team opening their season at home tomorrow night. When we get back, we've still got the NBA. Knicks battle the Bullets at MSG, plus the NHL and the rest of the late sports. That's all coming up right after this.
I want value, so I decided to check out the new Toyota Corolla. I'm at the dealership and the guy says, it's bigger, it's quiet, it's got a lot more room. But what I like best, you don't see at first. door locks to protect the kids, an airbag, and headlights that turn off if I forget. And it's not going to cost me a lot to own. That's the real value. So I bought it. I hope the sales guy doesn't mind. I think he really liked this car. He can get another one.
Boston Celtics, they are off until tomorrow night when they host the Washington Bullets at the Garden. Why do I mention this? Because under the circumstances, that is a game the Bullets are probably looking forward to. Tonight, Washington in New York to take on the Knicks. 21 lead changes in the first 3 quarters. That's Michael Adams for the Bullets. But down at the other end, Anthony feeds Charles Oakley. It goes with the foul. A little bit later still, Anthony again. This time he will feed Patrick Ewing for the dunk. Knicks pull away in the 4th to win it. The final, New York 98 and the Bullets 88. Elsewhere in the NBA, Charlotte a 127-119 winner over Philly. Cleveland in a close one by 4 over Milwaukee. Indiana romps all over the Miami Heat. Portland remains unbeaten. The Blazers 95, the Spurs 91, and Houston, that is now a final 88-83. They beat the Clippers. To the National Hockey League, Tampa Bay a 3-2 winner over Toronto. They are in overtime now in Winnipeg. The Islanders and the Jets are tied 3-3. Very briefly, if the Yankees get their way, they will keep the 3 players they lost in last week's Major League Expansion draft. According to the New York Times, the Yanks believe that draft was invalid because the Miami-based Marlins have yet to compensate the Yankees for violating their minor league territory in nearby Fort Lauderdale. Okay, Yankees have sent a letter to Major League Baseball declaring such. Yankees outfielder Carl Everett went to the Marlins, while the Colorado Rockies selected catcher Brad Ausmus and third baseman Charlie Hayes from the Yanks. Yankees, of course, one of the teams that was said to have lost the most during that expansion draft, so maybe they're a little bit bitter now.
All right, thanks, John. Finally tonight, a story about a cat in Nevada that has 9 lives, or at least 2. ABC's Christy Carlson has the story.
Dahlia's getting lots of attention now. Little Sam and Corey Ann can't keep their hands off her, and Steve and Debbie are awfully glad to see her as well. But she's making up for lost time. Her family says she disappeared almost 2 months ago, just after they moved into their new house.
After about a month had gone by and we searched everywhere for her, we sort of wrote her off as dead. Well, she showed up 7 weeks later, had been trapped in a heating duct of the house under construction next door.
The veterinarian doesn't know how Dahlia survived in the heating duct for so long. They do know she ate some fiberglass insulation, and she may have caught an occasional mouse. Debbie says Dahlia's just a skeleton of her former self.
You would have had to have seen her before to know how she was. She was just, she could leap tall buildings in a single bound. Now she just wobbles when she walks, but hey, she's still alive.
Debbie's had 12-year-old Dahlia since the cat was only 6 weeks old, and she says finding out her friend was still alive was one of the biggest thrills of her life. She hopes to keep her in the family for a long time.
I don't know how hard this whole thing's going to be on her and how much longer she's going to be able to be tough, but we've kept her this long, and the doctors over there, the veterinarians, and all the people down there just worked real hard to make sure she had every chance of living.
With the whole family pulling for her, including Buster the dog, Dahlia's chances of living look pretty good.
That's it for this edition of News Center 22. Good night, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow night.